We asked kids what they think racial profiling is.
I think racial profiling is messed up.
Alright, well, I think racial profiling is wrong.
Racial profiling is when I treat people like you differently.
What is racial profiling?
It's when you treat somebody different.
Racial profiling is being racist toward Mexicans.
Oh my God.
It's like a folder with cars, racial.
It's like this brown stuff, right? You say these are black people that I'm eating right now.
Racial profiling is judging a person stereotypically by the color of their skin.
Racial profiling, the act of suspecting or targeting a person on the basis of observed characteristics, behavior, or the color of their skin. Racial profiling is evident in almost every aspect of our lives. Take the music industry, for example. When you think of rappers, you probably think of
I'm fly, I'm so damn high, more than 500 horses when I roll by.
And whenever an Arab crosses your mind, or when you think of a Mexican,
Well, we have steak, roasted pork, fried pork, chicken, beef, barbecue.
and even white people. So let's see how this all began. It all started in the late 1600s when the demand for cotton led plantation owners in search of land and workers. This created the Atlantic slave trade, which brought many Africans against their will to come to America and work in the most harsh conditions you can probably think of. Ever since then, African Americans have been looked down upon as minorities, and segregation throughout America has lasted for almost 250 years. In 1957, the Little Rock Nine, a group of 9 African American students, were enrolled in Little Rock Central High School. There was an uproar in the community as well as across the state of Arkansas because of the strict laws of racial segregation. This was considered one of the most influential events in the African American civil rights movement. In the end, the 9 African Americans were able to go to school. In succession of this event, the African American civil rights movement continued to grow when a young pastor by the name of Martin Luther King Jr. stood up for his community.
But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. This sweltering summit of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until that is an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Unfortunately, some people thought differently.
Good evening. Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee. Police have issued an all-points bulletin for a well-dressed young white man seen running from the scene. Officers also reportedly chased and fired on a radio-equipped car containing 2 white men. Dr. King was standing on the balcony of a second-floor hotel room tonight when, according to a companion, a shot was fired from across the street. In the friend's words, the bullet exploded in his face.
America is shocked and saddened by the brutal slaying tonight of Dr. Martin Luther King. I ask every citizen to reject the blind violence that has struck Dr. King, who lived by nonviolence.
But Martin Luther King Jr.'s hard work was not in vain. His influence led to the passing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which banned segregation.
Let us lay aside irrelevant differences and make our nation whole. Let us hasten that day when our unmeasured strength and our unbounded spirit will be free to do the great works ordained for this nation by the just and wise God, who is the Father of us all.
I think we ought to move out.
But this would not stop people from discriminating throughout America.
This is video taken from the BART train, recorded on a cell phone by a passenger who doesn't want to be identified. You can see 22-year-old Oscar Grant on his knees talking to police. He is pulled onto the ground face down. Then, after what appears to be a struggle, a BART officer puts his knee to Grant's neck and head, and another officer steps back, draws his gun, and fires it once into Grant's back. His friends, who were just feet away from him, say they watched it all.
This is happening everywhere.
So yeah, I've been racially profiled before. You know, I've had some racist experiences. You know, in 4th grade, this white kid called me nigger, and it hurt bad. What else? Alright, so I was walking down the street, and then Popo, they were looking at me like, oh, let's stop that nigga over there. Like, oh, excuse me. What you doing right now? Just walking. You been smoking tonight? No. I'm like, come on now. Do I look like I smoke?
This feud between blacks and whites has been happening for so long. How could it get any worse? 9/11 brought terror to the American people. No longer were they afraid of only African Americans, but now of the threat of terrorist attacks from Arabs. This gave Americans an excuse to discriminate against Arabs, especially in airports.
There are many new violations of basic human rights that have popped up since September 11th. We're talking about things like special registration, FBI questioning, profiling on the roads, on airways. And while these are all problems that existed in one form or another before September 11th, they've all been made worse by this belief that we can now catch a new kind of criminal by looking at someone's race, ethnicity, or religion.
We've now added religious profiling to the mix because Muslims are being targeted now. Muslims, Arabs, South Asian, people who look like what stereotypical Muslim looks like.
Okay, I don't think that it's cool that they don't approach everybody of all gender or all races in airports and stuff like that, because everybody has the potential to have something dangerous in their luggage, and it's not going to be just people of a different race or people who aren't white or anything like that. I mean, there's been plenty of white people who have done these terrible things in airports in various places, so I don't think that it's fair that they only pick on people who are non-whites.
Well, I don't think that it's right that they mostly pull over Middle Eastern people at the airports, but I can kind of see why, I guess. I think it's kind of unfair that they're kind of singling them out.
We're now so scared of other races coming into our country. So how can we make sure that whoever comes to America is here for the right reasons?
I think it's very, very important that the people out there understand that Governor Jan Brewer of the great state of Arizona will always do what's right for the people of Arizona.
referring to herself in the third person there. The first clue that what was unfolding was one of those stranger than fiction, you can't make this stuff up, Friday political press conferences. Today, Arizona's governor signed into law what we've not so affectionately been calling the Papers, Please bill. It's remarkable legislation that requires police officers in Arizona to demand the paperwork of anyone they think looks like he or she might be an illegal immigrant. And this wasn't just a press conference to announce that the governor was going to sign this bill into law. The governor actually signed the bill right there at the press conference in front of everybody.
Let's see what other people have to say about it.
The minorities got a bad break, and in airports as well as on the streets, cops have been a lot more serious to crimes. They pull over people for no reason. I believe in Arizona, they can pull over whoever they think looks like an immigrant, which I think is horrible. And yeah, I think that racial profiling should stop.
So basically, I think that this law is very rash to the Mexican Americans that maybe want to come over and they want to work in America. You know, maybe they're really trying to make it and someone just has to ruin their whole life. So I don't think it's a very good idea.
Bull. That's what it is.
I think it's stupid and it violates constitutional rights of people.
So I think these laws in Arizona are very stereotypical against the Latinos of the Arizona society, because no one's going to go up to a British person and be like, hey, get out of here. They're only going to do it to the Latinos down there, so I think that's pretty messed up.
I don't agree with the law because there are some people that are in the process of getting, in the process of trying to become a resident, and I don't think it should be fair that they pick out these random people that look suspicious. I think it's a little biased.
I think we're a bunch of Nazis now just because we think we have the right to ask people for their papers.
Well, okay. Well, we're just talking right now. Alright, how do you feel?
I don't know right now.
You don't really know?
So you're for racial profiling?
Well, okay, see, it's not really racial profiling. It's more like, you know, you see 20 Mexicans in a Ford Focus. I think you should pull them over. I think you should pull them over, right? That's not racial profiling. I think most of them are going to be illegal. Illegal means you're illegal to be here. It's like I kill someone, it's illegal to kill someone. But, oh no, it's fine. We'll give you sanctuary. No. You're illegal. Get out of here. Like, yeah, I know it kind of sucks, and they do kind of build up our economy, but they're illegal. Just leave. Come here legally. Right?
Throughout history, all we have been doing is trying to separate people based on the color of their skin. We think that they are so different from us, and we try to make excuses so we can exclude them from our lives. Isn't America supposed to be about unity, equality, and freedom? So why are we making them the odd man out?